let's go to the Cavalier Hotel in Virginia Beach because Congresswoman Jen Kiggans is appearing before House Speaker Mike Johnson. They're having a news conference right now. Let's listen in.
Thank you guys for being here and taking a few minutes. It's such a privilege to have Speaker of the House Mike Johnson with us today. And there's a reason that we have Speaker Johnson and three of my colleagues. We had three, there we go.
There we go.
From Washington here. And that's the importance of this race. We have 78 days to go until Election Day. And when you look at the fight right now, the fight for Virginia's 2nd District, this is not a new fight that we're in, but it's a fight right now between craziness and common sense and really civility and communism, socialism, the direction that the Democratic Party has had to go to the left. And the opponent that we're running against who doesn't live in the district and who made $21 million inside stock trading, who now turns around and said she's against inside stock trading. Well, you can't say that after you made $21 million in your 4 years in Congress. So the fight is real for me. It's been real ever since 2019. We won the state Senate seat in 22 and we flipped this seat. And there was a reason we flipped this seat. And this country and this district moves forward. We do not move backwards. But the onus is on us to remind voters what's at stake here, to remind voters what's at stake for the Commonwealth of Virginia. We've seen what the Democrats in Richmond continue to do to Virginia, and we will not let them forget. We saw the gerrymandering push in April. We saw that we were lied to by our governor, who looked at a camera and said, I will not gerrymander Virginia, and then turned right around and made that a priority of hers. This affordability agenda, which then followed 51 new tax increases and all the things that does not make Virginia more affordable and also makes Virginia less safe. So there are some real important issues at stake right now, but the Republicans are delivering on security and prosperity. We will continue to work hard until November 3rd to earn the votes of all the people who I have the privilege of representing in Congress. But it's just a privilege today to have Speaker Mike Johnson with us, and I'd like to turn the floor over to him.
Well, thanks so much, Jen. It's really great to be in Virginia's 2nd District. This is a critical district and a very important race for the whole country. I'm delighted to be joined by our colleagues here. You got Ben Klein, also from Virginia, an extraordinary congressman serving the people so well. We brought in reinforcements from Texas and Oklahoma. Stephanie Bice, congresswoman from Oklahoma, and my buddy Craig Goldman over there from the Texas area. So we're really grateful. The reinforcements are important. We want to emphasize to everybody around Virginia how important this race really is. Virginia's 2nd District will determine the fate of the country because this will be a close election. Now, I'm absolutely convinced that we're going to grow the House majority. We're going to keep and grow the House majority for Republicans in the election 78 days from today. And the reason is because they have extraordinary people running. Jen Kiggans is one of the most effective members of Congress. Don't take my word for it. Look at all the rankings. She's among the most bipartisan members, one of the members that can walk into the middle of chaotic situations and get things done. That's why she's so highly effective. She is the perfect representative for Virginia's 2nd District, given her background and her experience as a veteran, a Navy helicopter pilot, a geriatric nurse practitioner. She's a Navy spouse and a mother of 4. We have 4 children of our own. My oldest son is a midshipman at the Naval Academy right now. I'm so grateful for the leadership that she provides for this community that understands the necessity of taking care of our servicemen and women and the veterans after they serve. Nobody's a better champion than Jen Kiggans. And she's been fighting, one of these issues about banning members of Congress from insider trading and stock trading. Her opponent made a lot of money on that, $21 million in 4 years in Congress. And now she suddenly claims she's had a change of heart? Yeah, I don't think anybody's buying that. You need somebody with integrity. You need somebody who has a life full of service to her fellow man. Now she's doing it in Congress, and I'm absolutely convinced she's going to win this election like she's done the last couple, because she's going to outwork them. And she's going to go out there and talk about the truth. What she's done, her incredible record of accomplishment, is going to be a big key to us keeping that majority going forward. So I'm happy to be here. I'm in the middle of a 30-day nonstop tour. I'm going through 18 states and 34 districts, but I mean it when I tell you there are none more important than Virginia's 2nd. So we're so grateful to stand with Jen Kiggans every single day. Okay, we'll take a few questions.
So, Mr. Speaker, over the weekend, I want to ask you about some of these DSA candidates and sort of the Democrat messaging. Over the weekend, we heard from Minority Leader Jeffries. He said he does not support Medicare for all, and then moments later, one of his members that's on his left, Congressman Khanna, came out and said that Medicare for all is one of the most important priorities for Democrats. I'm curious what you make of that divide within the Democratic Party on that issue, and also how you run against the Democrats when they are so divided within their own party.
It's a fascinating thing to see the Democrat Party. They're in the midst of now an open civil war, truly. They don't know who they stand, what they stand for, who stands with them. They don't have a leader. They're kind of a rudderless ship. But the thing that is so, I think, alarming let me use that word, alarming for the American people is that you have open Marxists who are winning primaries in that party. Hakeem Jeffries is the top leader, the Democrat leader in the House, but he lost his slate of candidates in his own backyard. Several weeks ago, you saw Mamdani endorsed a slate of radical, far-left candidates, DSA approved and endorsed candidates, and they all won. And one of those races was in the Bronx, in Hakeem Jeffries' own backyard. So he's having a challenge inside his own camp, and this is an alarming thing for everybody because the challenge is coming from people who, they put their platform out, they published it. They want to abolish the border. They want to abolish all prisons in America. They want to abolish the U.S. Senate. They want to remove the president. They want to expand the House and make it a unicameral governing body over the country. Why? Because they believe that over 2 or 3 cycles, they'll be able to bring a wave of Marxist communists into the Congress and take it over. And when we get to that stage, you know what they want to do? Take away and assume the means of production to the government. That means no more private property ownership. That means the small business owners across America who provide jobs and opportunity for people will be taken over by the government. It's a dangerous game. We started a website. We launched a website over the weekend, contrastforamerica.com, and I encourage everybody to go there to see where we line up these policies side by side. We line up these candidates side by side. As Jen Kiggans summarized here, this is an election, a contrast election between common sense and crazy, and increasingly now common sense and communism. And we're using this website as a way to educate people, especially young voters, to understand a government that's big enough to promise you everything for free will almost certainly take it away in short order. Definitely they will in the long term. That is the story of communism. Communism has been the reason that tens of millions of innocent people have been murdered in the 20th century alone. It's a dangerous, dark road. It's anti-American. We're not going there. So the answer to the question is, what's going to happen with the Democrat Party? I'll just tell you. This is not the Democrat Party of our fathers or our previous generations. Congress now, in the next Congress, we will not be arguing over marginal tax rates or regulation. We'll be arguing over whether or not we're going to maintain our republic in our 251st year as a nation, or if we're going to go down this dark, dangerous, deadly road to communism. The Democrats represent that. The Republicans represent what we have shown. This isn't just words, this is action. We have cut taxes, we have cut regulations, we have broadened the pathway out of poverty for more people, we've put the economic conditions in place for more jobs and higher wages and all of this. And that's what you're going to continue to see, doubling down on that and making sure that we bring down the cost of living for every American. We know how to do it. This is the party that will do it. The other party wants the government to take everything over. You do not want to see what that results in. So, another question.
Dr. Johnson, voters here in the district, there's a lot of military members, veterans. When we see what's going on in Iran, what would your pitch be to voters here about that continuing and gas prices going up right now? Why should that continue?
Yeah, the Iran conflict has been the cause, of course, of gas prices going up. It's drug on. I am grateful, and I think all Americans of good sense are grateful that we have the greatest fighting force in the world, in the history of the world. Our men and women in uniform are the brave people who preserve freedom and stand on that line every single day. We're grateful for that. Because of their prowess, because we are the great superpower on the planet, we were able to take the head off the snake. I mean, Iran was the largest state sponsor of terrorism. It was an evil regime that wanted the downfall of America and has been chanting death to America for almost 50 years. That objective was one that was carried through by every president in recent decades, and we finally had a commander-in-chief who understood their nuclear capability was almost there and that we had to act. We did. Now, resolving the conflict after that is what we're in the process of now. I believe ultimately that there'll be a coalition of nations, a combination of allied NATO allies and Arab states in the region. Everybody in the world has an interest in the Strait of Hormuz being open for commerce, and so I believe we'll be getting into a new phase with that where we can calm this down. That will hold gas prices down to planet Earth, and that will also bring down grocery prices, for example, because the transport cost of the fuel adds to that. So we are working every day. I can tell you, I talk to the president multiple times every day on average, okay? He is laser focused on this. He is laser focused on bringing down the cost for everybody, working on those affordability issues. But we don't just talk about it on our side, we do it. And that's what our record of policy and legislation and everything we've done in this Congress so far shows. So don't listen to the rhetoric. Look at the record. And when you do that, you see a candidate like Jen Kiggans who stands far above her opponents.
So you talk about democratic socialism, but a lot of the candidates that are running against the Republicans in these battleground fields are not democratic socialists. They're moderates, they're fellow veterans as well. What messaging do you use against these candidates, and how confident are you that Republicans can beat them if the socialist label doesn't stick?
Well, we use the truth. I mean, I give you the example of your governor in Virginia. She ran as a moderate. She governs almost as a Marxist. I mean, she did exactly the opposite of what she said on the campaign trail. They're all going to try to say whatever they think needs to be said to win. But when they get there, they're going to fall in line. And I'll tell you this. I'll just say this about my friend Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer in the Senate, the two Democrat leaders. They're not even trying to resist this at this point. They may say that they're not for some of the DSA's platform, but they're going to have to bring these people into the fold. They're going to be a part of that. The energy and the excitement and the grassroots and the funding is on the side of the insurgent left in the Democrat Party. They don't know what to do about it. There's no national leader of the what they call them pragmatic Democrats. The Blue Dog Democrats will no longer exist after November. There is no moderate Democrat Party anymore. Don't count on that, okay? So you need, again, don't pay any attention to the rhetoric. Look at what they've done. Look at what they're doing. Look at the platform they themselves published, and look at the number of those people who are rising through the party. It's a serious challenge for America. Now, I'm here to tell you, Republicans will continue to represent the Constitution, common sense, and working people. We had a big demographic shift in the 2024 election. Working people came over to the Republican Party again in droves, not unlike what they did in the early 80s under Ronald Reagan. We had a record number of Hispanic and Latino voters, Black and African American voters, Jewish voters, union workers, people who had traditionally not been in the party. And why? Because the Democrat Party left them behind. That was in 2024. The Democrat Party is now, they've hit the gas, they're going further far left, and they're going to leave everybody behind. So the Republican Party welcomes everyone with open arms. If you believe in America, if you believe in individual freedom and limited government and the rule of law and peace through strength and fiscal responsibility and free markets and human dignity, we have a place for you. And I'm delighted that the voters of Virginia are savvy. They're going to pay attention to this. They're going to look at record, not rhetoric. They're going to make the right decisions, and they're going to re-elect extraordinary members of Congress like Jen Kiggans and Ben Cline. This is going to be a great election cycle in Virginia. We're going to grow the majority for Republicans nationwide, and we're going to keep this thing going for the people. Thank you all so much for being here.
Take another question. Thank you.
All right, so there you have it, a quick media availability with House Speaker Mike Johnson, with candidate Congresswoman Jen Kiggans, who is running again to hold her seat in the Congressional District 2, running against Democrat Elaine Luria. As you know, Elaine Luria is also a former Congresswoman. She held that seat up until 2022 when she was defeated by Jen Kiggans, and now she is running again to try to unseat Jen Kiggans. And you heard Mike Johnson mention the word communism. That is a buzzword, a word that you're going to hear a lot during this election season. It's something that we've already heard the president say several times, referring to Democrats as communists. And talking about some of the Republican agenda, and he said that Republicans are trying to cut taxes, help the economy, bring down the cost of living. Of course, as you know, that is an issue, an area where Republicans have taken quite a big hit in many of the polls that we have seen because of the cost of living. Mike Johnson saying that the president is laser focused on the war, ending the war, and affordability. However, we have heard President Trump call the word affordability a fake word and a con job. So this is going to be an interesting election season. The election is November 3rd. Democrats are crossing their fingers that they will be able to retake the House and thinking that they may be able to retake the Senate. We'll see what happens. And this race here in our area in Hampton Roads, Congressional District 2, is going to be one to watch. It's a district that has flipped several times. It was held by, if you recall, Republican Scott Taylor, and then Elaine Luria. She defeated Scott Taylor, and then Jen Kiggans defeated Elaine Luria, and now Luria is back in the race. So it's going to be really interesting to watch. We haven't gotten many polls yet on that race, but it is expected to be one of the tightest races in the country, and it's also expect it to generate millions and millions of dollars. So stay aware and stay alert. That is definitely a race that we here at 13 News Now will definitely be on throughout this election season. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.